It is the 12th of December, Rabbi Levitt, Nefesh Hahaim.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning, Alan.
Sorry for the confusion this morning.
Okay.
No problem, Alan. So you don't have to exactly all the time worry.
Okay, you're here. Everybody is here. Roy is coming in.
There he is.
Oh,
Right.
hey.
Good morning, Rabbi Levitt.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor again and live again.
Good morning again.
See, now I see what you need to do in order that everybody comes. Just come late. Okay. All right. So we are in the very last 6 lines before the end of Perek Yud Ches. Shar Aleph Perek Yud Ches, Gate 1, Chapter 18. We're ready for our liftoff from the gate. And the words are in the Nefesh Hahaim, Aval, Bechinas HaNeshama. And here he says what we've been asking openly and clearly. So we call upon Roy to read the last few words of Perek Yud Ches.
Val, Bechinas HaNeshama, Ina, Nafgemas, Kalal, La'olam, Ki, Mikol Shorasha, Hu, Ma'olam, Hamashuma, Memega, Zarim. However, the level of the neshama cannot ever be damaged, as its root source is always protected from extrinsic impact. So the neshama cannot be ever damaged. Its source is always protected from extrinsic impact from outside. Unuvuko, Lalam Kashorosh, Hanashama, Kiradua, Shahaim, Rav, Delo, Mr. Doshim, Shin Loloman, and it is permanently attached to the root of the neshama. That is the Knesset Yisrael, as it is known. They are permanently inseparable friends.
Knesset Yisrael? Where does it say Knesset Yisrael?
That is the neshama, that is the root of the neshama, that is Knesset Yisrael, as it is known. As is known.
It says it in parentheses.
Yes, as is known, for they're permanently inseparable friends.
It's saying that the root of the neshama is the same as the Knesset Yisrael.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Ukala b'shorsho haneshama ki yadua shehem ra'in delo esparshim ba'almin ve'ein ma'aseh ha'adam magin Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
From where? From Ain? Ve'ain?
Be'ain.
Ve'ain ma'aseh ha'adam min Magaim Ada Kalo Kalala the Kalkala no the Kalkal came for Shalom and a man's actions cannot impact it at all to corrupt it, God forbid. The Imradam Shemach Shavo Asher Lo Tahal Hahaim for Shalom who Nara Ra'ah the Latzma Levo Talek Yisraelim Mimenu Natsatsi Ir Hanish Ma Achel Shehi Nifkema Nifkemas Haim or Hom Shalom. And if a man sins with improper thoughts, God forbid, he causes bad to himself alone, in that the sparks of his neshama depart and are hidden from him, but not that the neshama itself is damaged, God forbid. It cannot be blemished. The neshama leaves the person is evil. Leaves the person and is evil. The Shama departs from the person is evil. Yeah, we said, and the Shama.
What we're saying over here is what we said before. We said that the truth is that the neshama is not the neshama components of Naran. This three part spiritual component, which is called neshama. It doesn't enter into the goof of the person in a physical sense. In any case, it's but it has its influence through the nitzutze or, the sparks of kedusha. Again, or is simply a Kabbalistic term, which is really sort of like a parable to call kedusha, because we can't really have any words other than kedusha for what kedusha is. So another word that we call it or, because or is we know that kedusha has no physical trappings to it whatsoever. It's totally spiritual, and so or is like a mushal to a koach of kedusha, because we call it or because or is the most non-physical thing that there is in the world. It doesn't take up any space. It doesn't weigh anything. It doesn't maybe it does occupy a certain place because where the light is. So then you see that the light is apparent and the light is not in the other place. So that would have a little, but otherwise, it's the most non-physical thing that there is. So that's what we call a koach of kedusha, or. And also nitzotz is also sparks. So what is sparks? Sparks is fire. Fire is also very non-physical type of entity. It doesn't take up any space. It doesn't weigh anything. So these are all different terminology for kochas kedusha. But this is what we said before when we said we say the bracha every morning. Elokai neshama shenasata bi tahorahi. The neshama that you gave me is tahor. And we asked, well, what happens if a person does averas? Doesn't the neshama become blemished? Doesn't something happen to it? It becomes now it's not tahor anymore. It's not pure anymore. So Nefesh Hahaim is announcing to us right here in this end of this chapter, no, absolutely not. It is not. It remains totally pure. This component remains totally pure because it's not in the goof. It's only outside the goof, and it doesn't become affected. And the only thing what happens is the most powerful thing that could affect it is a makshava ra, improper thoughts, an improper thought. That's the strongest thing that could possibly affect it, because that's also a very unspiritual thing. I mean, rather a non-physical thing, which is very bad. And we might have thought that would be the thing that could affect the neshama. No, the only thing it does, the nitzotze or of the neshama are removed from the person, and they don't impact upon him the way they have the capability of doing. But the neshama itself, lo nifgemet. It is not blemished in the least from anything that a person does, or thinks, or says. Okay. Very good. And a round of applause for chapter 18. Hooray! And we are getting close to the siyum of Shar Aleph. Shar Aleph has 22 prakim. And this is the 19th that we're going to start right now. So we go to Meir to start Perik Yud Tes. V'zehu inyan hakosuv.
Okay. Zehu inyan hakatuv v'mishlei ruach ish yikalkel mechalehu v'ruach nikei'ah mi yisa'ena. רוצה לומר, המחלה וחלאת העוון של בחינת הנפש. That's a big paragraph. Okay.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah. Sorry.
This is a concept written in Mishlei?
Zeu inyan hakosuv. This matter is this matter that we've been discussing. Here we go again. Notice this again. Zehu ha'inyan. Zehu inyan. This is the inyan, the matter, the subject of the. It's a smichus here. Inyan hakosuv, we would translate as this is the matter of the pasuk. This matter that we've been talking about is the son is found in this pasuk in Mishlei. Mishlei Yudches, this pasuk Ruach Ish. So we have to go get a Mishlei. But before we do that, I just want to point out that there's a note over here at the end. One of the important notes over here at the end of chapter Yud Ches, it says over here what we mean when we say that we said that there's chorus, chas v'sholom, if a person does an avera intentionally, which carries a penalty of chorus, spiritual excision, we said that only 9 of the 10 components are severed from the nefesh, from the ruach, but one remains, and that is the one that holds on. He's always has the possible, and then he says, and with tshuva it. Experiences a tchias amesim, and he has a note on the bottom about this, that he's not ever really completely cut off, the Jew, as a result of what he does, because he says hainu ratzon apnimi. I don't know if you have these words. It's in the second Hagah. Hainu ratzon apnimi hamachtir nefesh b'Yisrael. This is the inner desire which crowns the nefesh of a Jew. Mitzad hayira eno nifsekes laolam.
We've got here in brackets, this is the inner will or desire, in brackets, of God, which crowns an neshama of the Jew, which through fear, in brackets, of God, is never separated, in brackets, from him.
I don't know why he's saying that.
Hmm.
I don't know which. Again, I don't see any word that refers to Hashem here.
It seems to be the editor's insertion, or the insertion of
Mitzad dveikuso v'hiskashruso im bechinas haruach, nidonis kebechinas haruach she'ein bo chorus. I don't know. All I have is hainu rotzon hapnimi hamaktir nefesh miYisrael. Unless he means to take out from this word hamaktir that Hashem crowns. Still, but it's even according to that, it's still talking about the rotzon hapnimi, which is in the nefesh of a Jew. Mitzad hayira. From the perspective of yira, his reverence and his awe and his awareness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Eino nifsekes la'olam. It is never severed, ever, 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 ever. Oh, and then he says, take a look. Ayin Rambam, Sof Perik Beis, Mehilchus Gerushin, it didn't get Meusa. Achiyamarotzani. Oh, we have to take a look at this. This is very important. Okay, 1 second. Before we go to the test, we've got to take out a Rambam in Hilchus Gerushin. This is a famous Rambam, and I want to see how the Nefesh Hahaim learns this Rambam. This is a famous Rambam. Okay, let me go get the Rambam.
Have you got a note, Maria, or
No,
down there under there? I've got, Alan, have you got a note, or Lou? I've got a note that Rambam, Mishnah Torah,
yeah,
for,
hold on.
for one who the law prescribes that he is to be forced to divorce his wife. That's how it starts. That's how I got it started.
Nefesh Gerish.
Huh?
Okay. Okay, so he told us the parak, but he didn't tell us which halacha.
Is it Mishnah Torah Hilchas Gershin 220 220? Is that right?
Let me
Rambam
see.
Mishnah.
Mishnah didn't know should Kofin. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So this is the last halacha in Perek Beis. Misha din no sin. Who that the halacha demands shekofin no so legarish es ishto, that the Bezdin is empowered. The Torah empowers the Bezdin to force a man to give the get. Avalo rotza legarish, because he doesn't want to do that. He says, "I'm not giving her a get." Oh no, I'm not giving her a get. That's what he says. So what does the Torah do? The Torah says, this is really true of all mitzvahs. Actually, even if a person doesn't want to sit in a sukkah, he has a mitzvah say to sit in a sukkah. The Bezdin is empowered by Torah law to force him to sit in the sukkah. Bezdin shel Yisrael b'kol makom u'b'kol zman makinoso ad sheyomer rotzani v'yichtov aget v'hu get kosher. Now, here's the interesting thing. The Bezdin of the Jewish people, b'kol makom, wherever it is functioning, u'b'kol zman, at any time, whether there's a Beis HaMikdash, whether there's not a Beis HaMikdash, whether the nations of the world are in control, and the Jewish people are subordinate to them and subject to their dominion and influence. It makes no difference. The Bezdin, the Torah empowers the Bezdin to beat this guy up. Makinoso ad sheyomer rotzani. According to the Torah, that the Bezdin has total authority to do this. Why don't they do it today? Because they'll get all thrown into the jail of the state of Israel if they do that. Because the guy will go to the secular court and they'll say they attacked me, and they'll have a big diun in the Supreme Court of Israel. Is the ultra orthodox zealots, are they allowed to hit people? And they'll say, no, of course not. Put them in jail. So that's why they don't do it. But the Rambam is telling us that the Torah gives full authority to the Bezdin to do this, because the person is not acting in the way that a Jew is supposed to act. And they can force him to act in the way that a Jew is supposed to act. And the Rambam says this is a get kosher. This is a valid get. The woman can get married, remarry, right, as a result of this get. Okay, and then he says something about if goyim are hired to beat him up. Even if goyim are given the mission, the agency to do the job. But Amrulo, and they say to him, Asay Mashi Yisrael Amrim Lacha, do what it is that the Jewish people tell you that you have to do. Because you made a promise on Har Sinai. You said not agreed under oath that you're going to fulfill what it says in the Torah. And you're not doing that. Amrim Lacha v'lachatzu also Yisrael biad akum achi garish harei zekosher. Okay. I'm just looking for the language that is relevant to us over here, skimming through over here. Now the Rambam asked the question in the middle of the halacha over here. Lama loy bottle get zeh. Why is this get not bottle? Why is it not a nullified get? Why should it be a nullified get, meaning a get that has no force or no force or effect? It's invalid. Sharei, who honest? Bein biyad akum, bein biyad Yisrael. He's been forced to do this. He's been forced to do this only because they're beating him up. Whether Yisrael is beating up, whether Akum is beating up, it makes no difference, but he's being forced. How can this be a kosher get? Says the Rambam. Shein omrim onus elalami shenechlatz v'nidchak lasos davar she'eino mechuyev bo min haTorah. Right? And we know that in a case of an onus, somebody says he was forced to do something. I was forced to sign on the dotted line over here. The mafia told me that I got to sign over here. So we're not saying to start up with the mafia, but if this guy goes to the Bezdin and says, you know, I was forced to do this. I was forced to sign here. I didn't really sign this agreement in this contract willingly. What will the Bezdin do? They'll say, there's no contract. There's no contract. He was forced. There's no contract. He has no obligation as specified under this contract because he was forced. However, ein omrim onus, we do not say that forcing means that the person's act has no force and effect. Ella lemi shenechlatz v'nedchak lasos davar she'eino mechuyev bo min haTorah. We only say that in regard to something where a person was prevailed upon and he was pressured into doing something that the Torah does not require him to do. The Torah did not require him to sign the dotted line on this contract here. Kigon, mi shehuka ad shemachar o ad shenosan. It says in the contract, he's selling his house. So he comes into the Bezdin, he says, I was forced to agree willingly to sell the house, even though I signed over here on this contract. The Bezdin is mevatel the sale. They nullify, the sale is nullified. The sale is invalidated. Because the Torah doesn't say that you got to sell your house. The Torah doesn't say that you have to give this money to this guy or to this or to the mafia. It doesn't say. So even if he signs the contract, says I'm giving $1 million gift to the mafia, so he can come in to the Bezdin and say the mafia forced me to sign this document. They'll say, okay, you're not mechuyev. If you ask us, we would advise you to give the $1 million to save your life. But technically speaking, you're not required by the Torah to do this just because you agreed in this contract, even though the contract is otherwise 100% valid. But the fact that he was forced to sign the contract, to agree, that makes that the Torah doesn't obligate him in this matter. Aval, but says the Rambam, mi shetokfu yitzroi hara levatel mitzvah olasos aveira. A person who his Yetzer Hara gangs up on him and assaults him and tells him, don't do this mitzvah, or yes, do this aveira. V'huka, and he is beaten up. Ad she'asa davar shechayev lasoso, or ad shenisrachek midavar she'asa lasoso, until the point where he says, oh no, I don't actually want to do this aveira. Or he says, oh yeah, I do actually want to give this get, right? But of course, the reason why he's giving the get and the reason why he says he doesn't want to do this aveira is because he'd rather not get beaten up in the way that he's beaten up. That's really it would seem to be the reason why he is going ahead and giving the get. And so according to that, it would seem to be that it's a forced get, and a forced get has no force or effect. Says the Rambam, no, it is a valid get. Ein ze onus mimenu. This is not regarded as an onus. If he did the mitzvah, he gets a mitzvah. If he sat in the sukkah because they beat him up until he went and sat in the sukkah, he gets a mitzvah of sitting in the sukkah. And likewise over here as well, it's called a valid get. Ein ze onus mimenu. It's not regarded as that he was forced. Elohu onus atzmo bedato hara. On the contrary, he is the one who's forcing himself with his evil thought to nullify the doing of the mitzvah, or to go ahead and do the aveira. And therefore, concludes the Rambam, this one who does not want to give his wife a get, v'rotzehu lasos kol hamitzvos ulisrachek min averos v'yitzrohu shetokfu v'keven shehuka ad shetoshash yitzro v'omer rotzani kvar goresh l'ritzoino. Says the Rambam, therefore, this person that doesn't want to do the mitzvah, the way that we look at it is we say that no, on the contrary, he's been forced by his Yetzer Hara to not do the mitzvah. That's the forcing. The forcing is the Yetzer Hara. The forcing is the Yetzer Hara to not do the mitzvah. He's been forced to not do the mitzvah. Oh, so how do we get the Yetzer Hara off of him? We beat him up, and then he gets koach to win out and vanquish his Yetzer Hara and go ahead and give the get. And therefore, that is called the Amar Rotz, and he says, I want to give the get. Kvar Gorish Ritzono. That is called he is willingly giving the get. Okay, so that's an excerpt of the words of the Rambam. What does the Nefesh Hahaim in the note have to say about this? Ein Rambam, Sof Perik Beis, Mehilchas Gerishin, Bedin Get Mu'usa, Achiyom Rotzani, get kosher. The get is a valid get. Im hadin no sein shekofin oso legarish. See, that's the thing. If, in other words, there are if the person wants to stay married to his wife, and the wife, for whatever reason, she set her eyes on another man, let's say, and she's not interested in this guy anymore. And let's say the Bezdin determines that there's no valid reason why he needs to give a get. Whatever the reason is, don't argue with me on what about the wife's rights and all this type of stuff. Let's not get into an example altogether. Let's just say that if the Torah does not demand him to give a get in this particular situation that he's in, let's say, okay, whatever the facts of the case are, I'm not going to get into the facts of the case. Not totally familiar with, but the asode of what we're hearing over here is that would be a forced get. If now there were somebody hired hoodlums to beat this guy up until he says, I'm going to give the get, that would be a forced get, and that get would be invalid. Because the Torah does not require him to give a get like that. But if the Torah requires him to do the mitzvah of giving a get in the given factual scenario that the Bezdin determined, right? And he says, I'm not giving a get. No, not me. Then the Bezdin has the ability to force him, to beat him up, and he says, I want to give a get. That's not a get ma'usa. That's not a forced get. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Upirish Sham Hatam, and he explains Rambam over there. This is Nefesh Hahaim talking. The lo mikre onus. It's not called an onus. It's not called a forced get. A forced get is invalid, just like signing on the dotted line to give $1 million to the mafia. It's a forced agreement. It has no force in effect. Kaven. But here it's going to be a good get. Kaven shamitas ritzoino lasos kol mitzvahs, because this is what we say about a Jew. His ratzon hapnimi, his inner ratzon, is that he wants to do every single mitzvah that Hashem commanded him to do. That's his inner ratzon. That is his will. And so when he says, I want to give a get, we say, that's right. He's willingly desiring to give a get because his inner desire is to give this get, because the Torah is, the Bezdin is determined that in this case, the Torah is demanding him to give a get. Ela sheyitzrohu shetakfo. What's the forcing involved in that case? The Yetzer Hara is the one who's forcing him to not do the mitzvah. That's not called he doesn't want to give a get. That means that he's been forced by the Yetzer Hara not to do the mitzvah. That's the forcing over here. V'keven shehuka ad shetoshash yitzro, and now since he is beaten up, and that weakens his Yetzer Hara is now subdued, and he says, Rotza ani, I do want to do the mitzvah. Kvar girish lutsono. That is already regarded as is willingly giving the get. Ayin sham l'shono hakodesh. Take a look over there at the holy word. Okay, so we got the pshat, just like it says in the Haggadah of the Nefesh Hahaim. And this is because of the fact that that a Jew is never really cut off, no matter what it is that he does. He's not really cut off completely. And therefore, he's not really cut off. He still has this inner ratzon. It's deep, buried within him. He may not even realize that that's his inner ratzon. Of course, he doesn't realize that that's in his inner ratzon. He doesn't want. He'll tell you from today until tomorrow. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that mitzvah. I don't want to do that. I don't want to give that get. No, I don't want. But the Rambam reveals to us that that if the Torah requires him to give a get, so we can force him, because that's called that he's willingly giving a get. We're now separating him from the clutches of the Yetzer Hara, which is forcing him to not do what he truly wants in his innermost heart. Okay. Amazing words from the Rambam. And of course, this is how tshuva works. It's that some way, somehow, Hashem is always looking for ways to give the person an awakening, a wake-up call, and that he realizes that this is really what it is that he should do, because this is really what his inner desire is to do all the mitzvahs of the Torah. Okay. Perek Yud Tes, and now what do we got? Oh, we're way out of time. Okay. All right.
Okay, very good.
Yashikoyach, everyone.
Thank you. See you shortly.
All the best to Mayor. Have a great day. Ner
Have a good day.
Chamishi.
Mhm.
All right.
Freilichen. Lichtike
Freilich
Chanukah.
Hanukkah, yes, absolutely.
The Kedusha of Hanukkah should surround us and go into us and reveal that inner Ratzon to do only the Ratzon Hashem. Amen v'amen. And all of Klal Yisrael.
Amen. Okay, have a good day.
Amen.